You wake up, the alarm clock is ringing, right? Cuts through the quiet of the morning.
Yeah, that classic loud morning sound.
Exactly. You open your eyes, you look up at the ceiling, and in that very first moment, before you even move your body, what is the exact feeling in your stomach,
Oh, that is a powerful question.
right? Like, are you energized? Are you ready to jump out of bed and start the day? Or do you feel a heavy weight?
For a lot of people, it is definitely a heavyweight.
Yeah, like a dark, invisible cloud settling right over your chest. It is this heavy, sinking feeling. And it tells you exactly where you are going and exactly what you have to do today.
Because you have to go to work.
Yes. So today, in this deep dive, we are asking a very uncomfortable question. It is so personal that most people, they actively try to avoid thinking about it on their way to work.
Because the answer can be scary.
Very scary. The question is, do you actually enjoy your job? Or, have you just learned to accept a life where the bare minimum is somehow good enough?
It really is the ultimate uncomfortable question. I mean, we spend most of our waking hours working.
We really do.
Takes the best years of our lives, it takes our highest energy, but so many of us just do this huge part of our lives completely on autopilot.
Like robots, almost.
Exactly like robots. We treat going to work like simple math. You do your tasks, you get a paycheck, you go home, and then you repeat it all the next day.
But humans are not math problems.
Right. Human psychology is messy. The emotions about how we spend our time, they are very complex. They are deeply tied to how we feel about ourselves.
And that is exactly why we are unpacking this today. We are looking at a really fascinating dialogue between two people. Their names are Ryan and Emma, and are trying to figure this out.
They're having a very honest conversation.
They are. They force each other to look past the easy answers. This is not about whether a job pays the bills or if it looks good to your family.
No, it is about true, actual enjoyment.
Right. And I want to make a rule for our deep dive right now. For you, the listener, there is zero judgment here today. None at all.
That is so important to say.
If that morning alarm clock fills you with dread, you are normal. You are in the majority. We are here to explore why we stay in jobs we do not love. And we want to explore how to completely change the way we look at a working life.
And that lack of judgment is key. Because, the reality for most people is not a big, dramatic tragedy.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when Emma asks Ryan if he enjoys his job, he does not start crying. He does not shout about how terrible his boss is.
Oh, right. He actually hesitates.
Exactly. He pauses. And he asks her to define the word enjoy. That pause is so interesting because it shows us he is living in what we can call the middle zone.
Okay, let's unpack this middle zone. Because when he hesitates, he says something that I think millions of people understand.
What does he say?
He says he does not hate his job, but he definitely does not wake up excited every morning. It is just there.
Yes. The middle zone, it is like room temperature.
Room temperature.
Yeah. It is not burning hot with passion. And it is not freezing cold with misery. It is just neutral. And the big danger of this space is how comfortable it feels.
Because it is safe.
Because humans adapt very quickly. We get used to things. If you are in a really toxic workplace, say, a place where people yell at you every day, your brain's alarm bells go off.
Right. You know too bad.
Your survival instincts kick in, and you know you must run away. But in the middle zone, there are no alarm bells. There is no sharp pain. There is just no joy.
Wow. And our brains are bad at noticing when something is just missing, right?
Very bad. We do not see an absence of joy as an emergency, so we just stay.
We just stay. We assume this is normal. It reminds me of the analogy they use in The Source. They compare this kind of job to eating the exact same meal every single day.
Oh, the chicken and rice analogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine your dinner is just a plain piece of chicken and a scoop of white rice. Nothing else. No sauce, no spices.
It is completely functional. It works.
It does work. It gives you protein. It gives you carbs. It keeps you alive so you do not starve.
But eating plain chicken every single day for 10 or 20 years, that ruins the fun of eating.
Totally ruins it. There is no excitement. You never look at the clock at 5 p.m. and think, oh man, I cannot wait for dinner.
Right. You just eat it because your body needs calories. And a job in the middle zone is exactly the same.
It provides the money, the financial calories to keep a roof over your head. But there is zero flavor.
Zero anticipation.
But wait, let me push back on this a little bit. Because, if a job is paying your rent, shouldn't that be enough?
That is the big question.
Like, is our culture training us to think the middle zone is the best we can get? People always say, hey, be grateful you even have a job.
Yes, be glad you aren't struggling, and we hear that a lot.
Exactly. Are we being taught to eat the plain chicken and feel guilty if we want a little bit of flavor?
That is a very deep conflict we all feel. We carry a lot of old guilt about work, because for most of human history, work was just about not dying.
Right, our grandparents just wanted to survive.
Exactly. To them, a safe, boring desk job was a huge luxury. It was so much better than dangerous physical labor in a factory or a field.
So society is telling us to be happy because it is safe.
Yes. But we live in a different time now. Our basic needs are easier to meet. So our brains move up to the next level. We start wanting to feel happy and fulfilled.
We want more than just survival.
But the old rules tell us to sit down, eat the plain rice, and say thank you, so we feel guilty for wanting to be happy.
And that guilt keeps us in the middle zone. We just sit in that neutral room. But if it is so boring, why don't people just leave?
The guilt is strong, but it is not the only thing keeping us there.
Right. There must be stronger forces gluing us to these boring office chairs.
There are three main reasons, or three pillars, why people stay, and they are deeply tied to human survival psychology.
Okay, let's go through them. What is the first pillar?
The first one is very obvious. It is money. The reality is that bills do not pay themselves.
Money is always the biggest wall, isn't it?
It is the ultimate trap. You can have big dreams about a fun career, but at the end of the month, the electric company does not care if you feel fulfilled.
You just want your money.
Exactly. Money creates a psychological cage. And it works because it touches our deepest survival fears. When you think about quitting, your brain instantly imagines the worst thing possible.
Like my bank account will hit zero, I will lose my apartment.
Yes. You imagine having no food. This fear is so basic and so huge, it easily crushes any tiny desire for a fun job. The brain always chooses guaranteed survival over maybe being happy.
Wow, so the fear of being poor freezes us.
Yeah,
That makes complete sense. But what about people who have money saved up?
that is a great point.
Like people who could take 3 months off to find a better job, but they still refuse to leave. Why is that?
That brings us to the second pillar. It is the desire for stability and the very intense fear of the unknown.
The fear of the unknown.
Yes, it is probably the strongest force in human behavior. We are biologically built to like things that are predictable.
Like how we evolved.
Exactly. Think about early humans walking in a forest. If they stayed in the familiar forest, they knew where the fruit was, and they knew where the bears lived.
It was a boring forest, but it was safe.
Right. If they decided to explore a dark, new cave just for fun, they might get eaten by a bear. Evolution rewarded the humans who stayed in safe, boring places.
So our modern brains are still walking in that prehistoric forest.
We really are.
We look at a new job opportunity and we do not see excitement. Our brain just sees a dark cave with a bear inside.
Yes, we think, well, my current boss is annoying, and the work is so dull. But I know the rules here. I know I will not get fired today.
We choose guaranteed boredom because the unknown is just too scary.
We want control. Predictability feels like control. But the funny part is, in today's world, that stability is a lie.
Because companies close down all the time.
Exactly. Layoffs happen, industries change. Staying in a miserable job for stability is like staying on a sinking ship because you do not want to get rained on in the lifeboat.
Oh, that is a great way to say it. It feels safe right now, but it is actually a terrible idea.
Very terrible.
Which brings us to the third pillar, keeping people stuck. And this one is actually really sad.
It is the saddest one, I think.
It isn't money. It isn't fearing a new place. It is a complete lack of alternatives. It is sitting at your computer and thinking, I would leave if I could, but I have no idea what else to do with my life.
In psychology, this is related to learned helplessness. When you stay in a boring job for years, your creative muscles get weak.
You forget what you even like.
Yes. You look at the big world of jobs and your mind just goes blank. You stay in the job not because you chose it, but because you do not have a better idea for tomorrow.
It is like sitting inside a completely gray room with no windows. The chair is hard. The lights are bad. But you stay there every day because you think it might be raining outside.
Even though you never checked the weather.
Exactly. You never look out a window. You just assume outside is full of storms, so you sit in the gray room forever. The feeling of losing decades of your life to a gray room, it is just heavy.
It is very heavy. And when someone finally realizes they are trapped by money, afraid of the unknown, and stuck in the gray room, they start looking for an escape.
They look for advice.
And our society always gives them one very famous piece of advice.
Oh, I know exactly what phrase you're going to say. You hear it everywhere. At
Yeah.
universities, on social media, in books.
Follow your passion.
Yes, follow your passion. The idea that if you just find the one thing you love most and make it your job, you will never work a day in your life.
It sounds so romantic, it sounds beautiful, but when we look at how work actually functions in real life, this might be the most dangerous advice we can give to people.
Here is where it gets really interesting in our deep dive, because arguing against follow your passion feels like breaking a rule.
People get very defensive about it.
They do. But the logic is so clear. First, this advice assumes that every person has one deep, special passion they can sell for money.
And that is simply not true.
What if a person says, I like lots of things, but I do not want to dedicate my whole life to one thing. I just want to pay rent and enjoy my Saturday.
For that person, the phrase follow your passion causes so much anxiety. They look at the internet, they see people living these perfect, passionate lives, and they feel broken.
They feel like they failed at life just because they don't have a crazy obsession.
Exactly. It creates an impossible standard. But the problem goes even deeper. The real danger is what happens to the people who do have a passion and they decide to turn it into their job.
This is the big trap. Taking a fun hobby and making it your job changes everything in your brain.
Let's use an example to show how this works.
Okay, let's talk about baking. Say you really love baking cakes.
Baking is a perfect example.
You bake on a quiet Saturday morning. You mix the flour, you try new sugar flavors, you make a nice cake for a friend. It is relaxing. It is a real passion.
Because you are doing it just for yourself. The joy comes from the inside.
Right, there is no pressure.
But the moment you turn that baking into a business, you introduce external pressure. You are not baking for joy anymore. You are baking for money.
You have to follow deadlines.
Yes, you have client demands, and you have the scary threat that if this cake is bad, you cannot pay for your apartment.
Suddenly, it is no longer a peaceful Saturday morning. It is Tuesday night. You are exhausted. Your feet hurt so much.
And you still have to bake.
Yes, you have a strict rule.
Yeah.
You must bake 50 perfect cakes by tomorrow morning. Your actual survival is now tied to the exact thing you used to do to relax.
The pressure completely kills the fun. The kitchen is not a safe, happy place anymore. It is a stressful factory.
It is a battleground.
Right. When your money depends on your passion, the heavy weight of the world crushes the delicate joy of the hobby. The fun is gone, and all you have left is anxiety about customer reviews and paying bills.
You successfully ruined the one thing you loved doing for fun.
You ruined your own hobby.
I really want you, listening to this right now, to think about this. Have you ever tried to make money from a hobby? Maybe you love taking photos of trees, so you became a wedding photographer.
Oh, wedding photography is so stressful.
Very stressful. Suddenly, you are not looking at beautiful trees. You are managing angry family members and fighting over contracts. The passion just evaporates.
It disappears completely.
So, if following your passion is a trap and staying in the boring middle zone makes us feel empty, what do? The old rules are broken. We need a new way to measure a good job.
We do. We need to reset what we expect from work. The problem is we expect constant joy. If we lower those giant expectations and redefine what enjoying a job means, we can actually be happy.
Okay, redefining the goal. Instead of demanding that a job gives us deep spiritual meaning every day, what is a realistic, healthy definition of a good job?
A realistic definition has 3 simple parts. 1, the job does not make you miserable. 2, it gives you a small sense of purpose. And 3, it does not keep you constantly stressed out.
Let's break those 3 parts down for our English learners. First, not being miserable. That sounds simple, but it is huge.
It is huge. It means you do not sit in your car outside the office crying because you have to go inside.
Right. It means the office is safe, the people are mostly nice, the work is not against your morals, it is just the absence of bad pain.
Exactly. Now, the second part, a sense of purpose. We are not talking about saving the entire world here.
Not everyone can be a superhero.
Right. We mean basic, everyday purpose. You feel like what you do helps someone. If you organize files, it helps your team. If you work in a grocery store, you help a mother buy food.
You see the result of your work. It proves you matter. You are not just moving a paper from the left side of the desk to the right side for 0 reason.
Yes. And the third part is about your body and your nerves. You are not constantly stressed.
It is normal to be busy sometimes, right?
Of course. A busy week is normal. But the normal, everyday feeling of the job should not make your heart race. You should be able to go home, sit on your sofa, and actually relax your shoulders.
If we look at the big picture, accepting this simple definition is really freeing.
It is freedom. It stops the pressure of chasing an impossible dream. Even cool jobs like astronauts or movie stars have long, boring days.
So much paperwork for astronauts, I bet.
So much. Accepting that work is mostly just work helps you appreciate the money it brings without being angry that it isn't a party every day.
But wait, this doesn't mean we should accept a bad job, right? We are lowering our expectations for joy, but we still need to watch out for real danger.
Absolutely. We have to be very careful to notice when a job goes from boring to dangerous.
Let's talk about the red flags. What are the signs that a job is failing, even this new simple test?
The warning signs start in your body. The first big red flag is feeling completely drained every single day.
Let's talk about that exhaustion, because it is a specific kind of tired. It's not the good tired you feel after playing sports or walking in the park.
No, it is not physical fatigue.
It is a deep, heavy emptiness. It is like running a car engine with absolutely no oil inside.
That is a perfect picture of burnout.
The car will keep driving for a little while, right? But the metal parts are grinding together. It gets hotter and hotter, and eventually the whole engine just breaks down.
Doing work you hate requires so much mental energy. You spend all your brain power just trying not to quit. And that leaves zero energy for your real life.
You come home and you are a zombie.
Yes. If you are too tired to talk to your family or cook dinner, the job is stealing your life energy. It is hurting you.
The engine is breaking. So that is the first flag. The second red flag is something everyone has done. You're constantly watching the clock.
Time. The way we look at time at work shows how our brain feels. When you do something fun, time flies. You do not even look at the clock.
Hours feel like minutes.
But when you hate the job, the brain is bored. It has no stimulation. So it focuses on time to try and find an escape.
You look at the clock. It is 2:14 p.m. You take one email. You take a breath. You look again. It is 2:15 p.m.
The time becomes a torture device.
It really does. Time slows down.
Mm.
You are literally wishing your life would go faster just so you can go home. That is a terrible way to spend your life.
It leads to the third red flag. You completely stop caring. You do the bare minimum so you do not get fired, but you do not care if the company does well. You detach.
And when you detach that much, your brain plays a trick on you to make you feel better. This is the biggest trap. It is the lie we tell ourselves, I will quit soon.
It is a fascinating trick of the mind. When staying at a bad job feels too painful, the brain makes a fake emergency exit.
Like a fantasy.
Yes! You have a terrible Tuesday, and you say to yourself, whatever, it does not matter. I'm going to write my resume this weekend and quit next month.
And that thought works like medicine.
Yeah.
It takes the pain away instantly because you believe the pain will end soon.
Exactly. It reduces the stress so you can finish the week, but it works too well. Because you feel less stressed, you do not actually do the work of quitting.
The weekend comes, and you just watch TV. You don't write the resume.
Right. And then Monday comes again. The bad feelings return, and you say, well, I will definitely quit after the summer holidays.
And then the holidays end, and you say, I will wait for my winter bonus.
Yes.
You keep pushing the date into the future. You use the fantasy of quitting to survive the reality of staying.
And suddenly 5 years are gone, all while you were saying you would quit tomorrow.
So if you were listening to this, and your car engine has no oil, and you stare at the clock, and you've been saying, I'll quit soon for 3 years, you need a plan.
You need to break the cycle, but not with a big, crazy action. You need small, careful steps.
This is the action plan. How do we fix this? Step 1 is actually surprising. Do not panic.
Panic makes everything worse. When people finally wake up and realize they hate their job, they want to explode. They want to yell at their boss, walk out the door, and burn the bridge.
But making huge life choices when you are angry is a bad idea. You might trade a bad job for a worse problem, like having no money for food.
Right. You do not jump out of a window to escape a fire. You walk down the stairs. You stay calm.
You take a deep breath, and then you move to step 2. Figure out exactly why you are unhappy. Be a scientist about your own life.
This is where people make a huge mistake. They confuse the workplace with the actual career. You have to break the job into pieces.
Ask yourself, is it the daily computer tasks that I hate? Or do I actually like the tasks, but I hate my mean boss?
Or maybe the boss is nice, but the drive to work takes 2 hours and makes you exhausted.
It is like having a tiny pebble inside your shoe. A sharp rock inside your shoe makes walking feel like pure torture. Your whole leg hurts.
But you do not throw away the shoe.
And you definitely do not cut off your foot. You just sit down, take the shoe off, and shake out the tiny rock.
That analogy is so perfect for careers. If you are an accountant and you hate your life, you do not need to quit accounting and become a baker. That is throwing away the shoe.
Right. If the pebble is just a toxic boss, you just need a new accounting job at a friendlier company. Finding the real problem saves you from throwing away years of experience. I love that. Find the pebble. But, what if the pebble is the job? What if you realize you really hate doing math all day?
Then we go to step 3. Start small and follow your curiosity.
When you need a big career change, feeling like you have to pick your new life purpose by tomorrow is scary.
It causes total paralysis, so the cure is small, safe experiments. You do not jump off a cliff, you just take one small step.
This connects to the idea of a side project or a new hobby, right? How does a hobby outside of work fix the trapped feeling inside of work?
It helps by expanding who you are. When you have a bad job and you do nothing else, that job becomes your whole identity. You become the sad office worker.
The job eats your whole personality.
Yes. But if you take 2 hours a week to try something new, maybe you learn how to draw, or you start a blog about gardening, or you take a language class, you build a new piece of yourself.
It takes the pressure off. You do not need the boring job to make you feel special anymore.
Exactly. You go to the office on Wednesday, you do the boring papers, and you think, this job is not who I am. This job just pays for my cool gardening class tonight.
The job loses its power to hurt your feelings because your brain is excited about the garden.
You shrink the job down to a healthy size. And sometimes those small hobbies slowly grow into a real career over a few years safely, without the panic.
Shrinking the job down. That leads to the most important philosophical shift in this whole deep dive. It asks the biggest question: what is the actual point of a job?
For a long time, culture told us a job must be our life's calling. But the truth is much more practical and honestly much more relaxing. A job can just be a tool.
It is just a tool. It supports your life. It does not have to be your deep passion.
It changes the whole focus. Instead of asking, do I love my work? We should ask, does my work pay for a life that I love?
Think about a toolbox.
Mm.
If you want to build a warm, beautiful house for your family, you need a hammer.
You definitely need a hammer.
But you do not need to feel deep love for the hammer. You do not need the hammer to make you feel spiritually awake. You just need the hammer to hit nails.
You respect the hammer because it works, but your love is for the house you build.
The job is just the hammer. Let's make this real. Imagine someone has a very boring office job. It is not fun at all, but it pays a very good salary.
And it gives them health insurance.
Yes. And most importantly, at exactly 5 p.m., the laptop closes. They never work weekends. They never check work emails on the weekend.
In that case, the hammer is working perfectly.
Yes. That person uses the money and the free time from that boring job to travel, to play with their kids, to read books, and to be happy.
If the job gives them the freedom to have a wonderful life outside the office, then the job is a massive success.
Even if the daily tasks are as boring as plain chicken and rice, the tool is doing its job.
It is a very mature way to look at life. You are not a victim of a bad job. You are a smart builder using a tool to build your own freedom. You take value from the job instead of letting the job take value from you.
We have covered so much ground today in this deep dive. Let's do a quick review so the listeners can remember all the steps.
We started with the middle zone. We learned that you do not have to be crying every day to be unfulfilled. The lack of pain tricks us into eating plain chicken every day.
And we talked about why we stay. We stay because we fear having zero money, and we fear the dark cave of the unknown. We sit in a gray room because we falsely believe it is raining outside.
And we broke the rule of follow your passion. We saw how forcing your fun hobby to pay your rent usually ruins the hobby with stress and deadlines.
We made a new, simple rule for a good job. It shouldn't make you cry, it should be a little bit useful, and it shouldn't make your heart race all the time.
But we also learned the red flags, the car engine with no oil, the brain staring at the clock, and the dangerous trap of saying, I'll quit soon, for years and years.
Finally, we learned the escape plan. Find the pebble in the shoe. Don't throw away the whole shoe. Use hobbies to shrink the job down. And remember, the job is not the house. The job is just the hammer.
Such an empowering way to see it.
As we finish up, I'm going to leave you, the listener, with one final crazy thought. Something to think about while you ride the bus or drive your car tomorrow morning.
Oh, a thought experiment. I love these.
Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning. You look at your phone. You have an email from a magic bank. Starting today, for the rest of your entire life, all your basic needs are paid for.
Completely paid for.
Yes. Rent, food, medicine, bus tickets, all free. The fear of survival is instantly deleted from your brain. You never have to earn money again.
The money cage is open.
The door is wide open. Here's the question. After you take a very long vacation and maybe sleep for a whole month, would you still want to do some kind of work?
Wow.
Would your human brain eventually want tasks and routines just to feel connected to the world? Or is the idea of a job just a fake survival trick and you would happily spend 50 years never working again?
That is a beautiful question. It reveals what you truly think about work. Without fear, what would you do with your Tuesday morning?
Think about that as you go through your week. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you can look at your job with fresh eyes, find the pebbles in your shoes, notice the red flags, and stop waiting for work to be your true passion.
Use the tool to build a life you actually enjoy. Stay curious and take your time back.
We will see you on the next deep dive.